X's purchase of Cursor was the acquisition of 2026. This week, Cursor launched a new feature within its platform called Origin that ousts GitHub as the place for saving your code and doing version control. Origin comes on the back of Cursor's acquisition of Graphite at the end of 2025 in December, and builders, developers, agent users in general now have a place outside of GitHub to store their projects, and it's in an agent native way. So I just got off the list for Origin and I have it here. This is actually my first time opening it. And so I'm going to go ahead and click get started. As you can see here, you can actually sync your repositories from GitHub to Origin. GitHub can stay the source of truth. You can spin up cloud agents, automations connected to this Origin feature. So we're going to go and click get started. I'm going to title it Sorokin B for my unique URL. I'm going to choose my organization. I'm going to select all of my repos, sync all the repos. So the initial setup happens within Cursor. You quite literally just open up your Cursor platform and you're on the pro plan. You have to be either on the pro or the ultra plan for this to be available to you currently. You'll see it on the left side on the tab where you have new chat, automations, code base, which is what we're looking at now. All right, so I've synced all of my GitHub repos. Looks like it's almost done 111 out of, I believe it was 143. They need to be synced. So coincidentally, GitHub went down the day that Origin launched. So Origin launched yesterday, which was August 17th, 2026. And about 2 hours after GitHub was experiencing an outage, this went online for all paid users for Cursor. And so I'm going to go ahead and actually look at the Cursor docs specifically for Origin. So I see that there's actually an Origin CLI, which should be useful for getting it set up. As I mentioned, you can create repositories within Cursor. You can sync your GitHub repos, which I've done. And then there are a few other things that you can do, including integrating with cloud agents and local agents. So I'm actually going to create a repo for a recent project I've been working on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Origin CLI docs, and then I'm going to have the agent set this up for me. So I'm going to, this is a project that I already had open that doesn't currently have a repo attached to it. So I'm going to state that I'm looking to set up the GitHub Origin CLI so that can push this project to a private repo, not on GitHub, but on Origin. I'm going to say review the documentation for the CLI, then implement. So as with pretty much everything now, I pretty much take the documentation, I paste it into the agent, and then I do my next steps based off of that. I imagine that the repositories, creating them, hooking them up, work similarly to GitHub, but this is my first time also interacting with this. So we're all learning together. All right, so it's giving me this authorization command in order to log in. I'm going to open up a command in the terminal, paste in the command, log in, sign into the Cursor CLI. Say we're logged in. Let's title the repo. All right, so this repo is set up. All right, now something that's very underutilized with these agentic tools is that you can actually just have it create a visual for you by telling it to create an HTML documentation of what you just worked on, or some sort of explainer. So in this case, we're dealing with this Origin feature. I'm going to prompt Cloud here. Can you create an HTML file and run it on localhost that shows the Cursor Origin setup compared to GitHub and how it works within Cursor? Make it very user friendly and understanding and chic file to look at visually. And so putting this prompt through will allow you to now get a visual of this new feature that Cursor has launched. All right, so we've got the HTML file right here, giving you an explainer. GitHub isn't the only home for your code. You got Cursor Origin now. So Origin is Cursor's built-in version control platform, private repos, pull requests, and code search that lives inside the Cursor ecosystem. Underneath is plain Git. So Git is just version control locally on your computer. And here's how it works. So you have 3 places, one source of truth. Your local machine, as I mentioned, which is Git, the cloud, which is now Cursor Origin if you're using their platform. And then you get a link for it. And then you can invite others to your repo. as well, or your code bases. Now, Origin versus GitHub. Cursor Origin is private by design, one command authentication. It's native to Cursor. The biggest thing is that it's agent friendly, and then it's standard Git underneath. Same as GitHub in terms of Git being underneath. Obviously, GitHub has been here for 15 plus years. It's heavier authentication though, which lends worse to agents. It means security, but harder than for agents to kind of engage or interact with. You have public and open source repos, and then they have a huge ecosystem. We'll see if Cursor Origin also adds the public option as well, but it currently doesn't have any. And so the biggest thing that Origin unlocks from what I see is that it's agent friendly. It's an agent native version of GitHub. That's how I see it. And then it shows the ways that you can push your projects to the Cursor Origin repo. And so that's that. Cursor.com/codebase is where you go once signed into Cursor in order to identify your repos, and the repos that you add, they will all pop into that URL right there. And it's straightforward. It basically works how GitHub works, but you know that it's going to be more agent friendly, and they'll continue to evolve it over time. So it's an alternative to GitHub. It can also sync with it. So it will be a good complement to it. And I'm interested in seeing that agent friendly functionality, because it can be challenging syncing repos with GitHub to where agents can fully control it, and you want to be able to provide access to others to use it. And especially as you have more non-traditionally technical folks that use repos and these agentic systems, we need to have a way of being able to navigate around version control, but also just a shared way of giving information and sending information back and forth. So Cursor Origin, that's what we have. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.